Good day, one and all. My name's Kathy, and welcome to the first episode of 2025 of the Scrap and Crafty Gardener. Today, I'm going to be making a fairly quick card using some of the products I got in the recent GinaK Stamp and Die Mystery Box and the Stamp Mystery Bundle. And I honestly don't remember which came with which because I got them both. But today, it's going to be a simple card. I've got my mini mink turned on here. I'm just waiting for it to warm up. I want to do that first because it makes the light flicker down here in the basement. And there we go. So one of the things I got in my box was this Happy Swirls Poly-Glaze sheet. And I also got this fancy foils. This is the Wild Lilac and Amazing Amethyst starter sheet. And I'm not sure which one is the lilac or the amethyst, but I went with the one with the paler shade. This is a really bright shade of purple, but I wanted to do this pale pinky shade. So what you need to do is I don't have a carrier sheet for mine, so I just use a piece of copy paper that I folded in half. So I'm going to take my Poly-Glaze, and this is a clean Swiffer duster, and I'm just going to rub across to get off any dust that might be down here in the basement. And then I'm going to do the same with the back side of my foil. And then I'm going to stick that inside my carrier sheet. If you have a regular carrier sheet, then please use that. I just don't happen to have one. And then I'm going to run this through. And on my mink for Gina's Poly-Glaze, I set it on 3, and that seems to work really well. I hope you've all had a great start to your new 2025 year. I actually slept in this morning. I couldn't believe it. I'm usually up anywhere between 5 and 7, and I didn't wake up till 8 o'clock. But I woke up to a nice little winter wonderland, light dusting of snow, and it's coming down in a steady stream now. This is Wednesday, and between now and Sunday, we're due for anywhere from 12 to 36 inches of snow. I say let it come. I don't have to go anywhere except down here to the basement to craft. I'm just going to waft that dry a little bit. Not dry, cool down. And then I'm going to peel it off. And this is one thing I love about Poly-Glaze. It is so beautiful. Look at that shine. All right, now I'm going to take this. I'm going to use this while I have it. Because I ordered, that's the next one. I ordered some white Poly-Glaze sheets. So I'm going to take my white, where did I set that? That's that. I don't want to mix these up. Keep that over here. Here's my white, just a plain old white Poly-Glaze sheet. And you don't want to put the whole sheet in there because anything that is not covered by foil will stick to your machine. So I'm just going to trim this down just a little bit lighter than the width. And now I'm going to run this through. But first I'm going to, again, Swiffer it. Just because if there's any dust particles, you will see them on your finished project. But you can always cover it up with some bling and things, so not a big deal. And I'm just going to run this through. Now, this I'm not going to use today. I will save it for another project. And then once this is done, I can turn this off, and then the lights will stop blinking down here. While that's doing, I'm just going to get a drink of my Kool-Aid here. And that should take just about a moment, and I'll show you how pretty that looks. Now I want to get my inks. These I need to put it in a separate bag because once they come out of the plastic bag, I can never get them back in. And we'll look and see. Maybe this is the one I want to use today. Who knows? All right. I'm going to cool it down just a little bit. And you don't need to have a fuse, a mink. You can use a laminator. And look, that's coming off. Now, this sheet is nice and clean, which means I got all the dust particles off. And look at that. And you know, I'm not sure which one I want to use on my card today. So I'm going to turn this off. Oh, I keep forgetting. It's a button on the back. I don't use it that often. I want to use it more, which is why I love getting the Poly-Glaze. Okay, my card today is going to be a horizontal card, and I'm doing a white cardstock base. This measures 10 inches by 7 inches. I scored it at the 5-inch line, folded it, and creased it with my bone folder. And then I'm going to use the Poly-Glaze. And you know what? I'm thinking I want to use this one. I really do. We shall see. I'll cut, I'm going to cut them both down because maybe I'll end up making 2 cards when I'm done. Not on video today, but all right, I'm just going to get my paper cutter here. And I want these to measure, 4.5 inches. Get it going the right direction. 4.5 inches long by 3 3/4 wide. So I'm just going to trim off this end right here. And now I will do 4.5 inches wide. Oh, no, 3 3/4. 3 3/4 wide by 4.5 inches. So I'm going to trim some off the bottom. And then now I'll measure my 4.5 inches. And that gives me a nice little square that's going to go right there on my card. And I'll do the same to this one. Just going to trim a little bit here. So width-wise, this needs to be 3 3/4. And trim a little bit off the bottom. And this needs to be 4.5 inches. Now, if you were doing a vertical card, you probably would only need to trim off the little edges. And I'll save this big piece because I could use that as a decorative strip on something. These smaller ones, I will put in the bin. Now these 2 I will save because I could use them on something. That's just me. Okay. Now, once I get my stamp design done, I'll see which one of these works better. But they're both beautiful. Oh my goodness, I love Poly-Glaze. Okay, now to get to stamping. I used GinaK's Master Layouts 3 to cut out a white square. And if you had a purple that would match this, you could just use that. But I'm going to color mine with alcohol inks. This square measures 3 7/8 all the way around. And now this piece, I have just a piece of white. And this is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, simply because that's the size I cut my paper in to have it ready to go. But I'm going to stamp my image on here, but then I'm going to cut it down with the Master Layouts 3. This is a 3 3/4 inch square that has the stitched border. And I'm using the new stamp set that I got. And I just checked on her website and it says sold out. I don't know if she's going to get this back in or not, but it is a beautiful rose. It's called Santana Rose Mini. And I kind of like the layout, how these words are here. So I'm going to try and keep them the same way. But I'm going to stamp the rose first. And this will be how it cuts out. Because I am going to be coloring in alcohol inks, I'm going to use my VersaFine Clair Nocturne. It works well with alcohol ink markers. And I'm just conditioning the stamp with my finger, rubbing it across. All right, and let's get rid of these extra Poly-Glaze. I do have the Spellbinders Glimmer machine, but I really struggle with that. It's so many steps and remembering to do this and that. And these Poly-Glaze are pretty much foolproof. I think that's why I like it so much. And I'm going to do one more just to get this a nice vivid black stamp. Oops. That is beautiful. Now, when I go to cut this out, I want to put my wording on here. And I like this wording, "You're my best friend forever." And I really wish we lived closer to each other. And I'm trying to think of where I want to put them. I think if I put "You're my best friend forever" right up here with "I really wish we lived closer to each other." Or "How did I ever make it before I knew you?" Those two. All right, those two are one. So I'm going to put this "You're my best friend forever" up as close as I can to that. And let me get my stamp off here. Clean that off with my tidy towel. Okay. And condition that stamp also with my fingertips. Oh, that's perfect the first time. All right. I like that. It's a nice bold font. And how did I ever make it before you? So now's where I want to figure out, and I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to put that right down there. You don't have to use, you could do any sentiment you want. You could, these ones don't have dies. I could find a die to fit, but I kind of wanted to do it flat today, since my last craft roulette card was quite three-dimensional. And I think my sister-in-law will like that. All right. All right, let me get these stamps back on here. I still have to put these away and organize them and sort them. That's on my to-do list. I was so proud of myself last night. I stayed up and I got my planner all filled out for this coming year, except for today. My project will be to go through my seeds and my gardening items and get organized with what I want to plant this year. Okay, now I chose two colors of purple for my Ohuhu markers. This is V287 Purple Mallow and V366 Potato Purple. And I don't remember which is the lighter purple. So we have that one. But I'm also going to check it up here. You see, they look a little different on the two different types of paper. Okay, so I want to use the purple Mallow to color in my flower. I think these colors match that Poly-Glaze fairly well. Yeah, they seem to. A little bit different, but that's okay. You don't want them too matchy-matchy. I'm using the chisel nib now to go around and color the outside. And one thing about Gina's stamps is you really don't have to be a coloring expert, because this provides all the shading and the shadowing. And I'm just going to color this in. Now I'm going to use the same color, and I'm going back on the outer petals and giving them another good coat. Because the more you do, the more color it lays down and the darker it becomes. Now, I'm going to try this. This might be too much on the next petals. Just here and there to give it a little bit more shading. Okay, and a little bit in here. I'm just going to go back with that purple mallow and give it a little bit in some spots that are a little pale. Yeah, now let's see how that goes with these. That looks pretty good. I like the different aspects of shadowing. And then once I bling it up, it'll be really nice. Okay, now for green, I've got G287 apple green and G369 matcha green. And I know the apple green is lighter. And I'm going to use my fine point on this one because it has more edges that I could slide off of and color outside the lines. And I don't want to do that. So I may go silent here while I color the outside edges. Always feel free to skip ahead when I'm coloring. I don't mind that at all. But stay if you want. Now, I have not made any New Year's resolutions other than I want to keep to my planner, which I did pretty good last year. I did up until April. But this year I am determined to stick with my daily planner. It's not something I keep. Once the year's over, like yesterday, I shredded all of last year's planner pages. I like keeping lists and doing things according to the list, but it's not meant for posterity. And some of the things, you don't want anybody to know, even when you're no longer with us in the physical world. I used to keep a diary when I was younger, but even then I didn't keep it. I'm pretty much a private person. Well, other than starting this channel, I don't tell people a whole lot of things. Now, historical stuff, that is different. I do like genealogy and history. And I like knowing about people in the past. But I don't, I guess not hypocritical. I don't like people knowing about my past sometimes. Not that I've ever done anything wrong. It's just, it's private. I can't be the only one out there that feels that way. I love this planner, but we shall see. All right, now I'm going to use the matcha green just to add in some highlights. And I think I'm going to use the larger brush. I'm going to go down the center and I'm going to do some of these petals. Some of them will be with the whole green and some will just be random stripes. Using the matcha on top of the apple gives it a different color. Now this is looking pretty dark, so I'm not sure which of these. I think I might go with the lighter background. I shall see when I put it together, which won't be long here. It's almost done. Other than blinging it up, of course. now to cut this out, turn on my machine. Oh, would help. I unplugged my cutting machine to plug in my make machine. And I forgot to plug back in. Okay. All right, now I need my stitched edge. And that's how I want it to be placed. Try and stay on camera for you guys. I do apologize if I occasionally go off camera. Okay, now I need to color the outside white, and I'm going to use the Mallow, purple Mallow. And it doesn't have to be very wide. Again, if you have a pattern paper or a colored paper that matches, go for it. Or leave it white even. You could have a double layer of white. Okay. And then see, that will go right like that. All right. Move the scrap paper aside, bring the card base back, and I'm pretty sure I want to go with the lighter background versus the darker background. Oh my, that is a decision. Let me hold it up to the light. Yeah, this one's going to be the lighter. So this one I'm going to glue down flat. You don't always have to have multiple layers all over the card. One of these days, I'm going to do a card where I cover up the whole front and make my background piece the 5x7 to match. That'll happen one of these days. Get this piece lined up as best as I can, as straight as I can. Now this one, I am going to pop it up, and I'm going to use my foam tape. I don't see my roll of, oh, there it is. Right where it's supposed to be. That's why I didn't see it. Do you ever put things where they're supposed to be and then you can't find them? In addition to my calendar yesterday, my planner, it is a calendar, but I also spent the day rearranging the house. Totally rearranged all the living room furniture, cleaned out the cupboards. I wanted to start the new year off right. I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid on here. I do like to rearrange a lot. That's why when people come over, they'll never know how my house is going to look. Okay, now this one I want to put, got to get those words right side up and down. Kind of off like that. All right. All right, now, I'm going to use Stickles, of course. And do I want to, no, I don't want to go with the blue. I'll go with my typical diamond. And I'm going to color this flower with the diamond Stickles. And I don't wash my stickle brush. It is only used for stickles, and it stays firm and full of glue. And that is okay because I like having like a stiff, it's like a little round ball. And I like having that for moving the stickles around so that you don't have to have a thick layer in one spot. And I don't go outside the edges unless I move my brush outside the edges. If I use the plain old flat bit bristle brush, the brushes would splay out and I would go outside the line So I learned to use what works for me, and that's what you should do too. If you work better with a flat bristle brush and don't go outside the line, go for it. There is no right or wrong in card making. All right. Now I'm going to add a few little rhinestones. And I've got my plain rhinestones here. I don't know if I just want silver or if I want to try coloring them with the purple. Let me see what they turn out like here. Oh, okay, the purple it is. I'll do this, I'll do this whole roll. Okay, and get my tweezers. All right, and see where I want to put these. I know I want to put one here. This is one thing about these rhinestones. They have these little glue, they're attached by glue to this plastic. And then sometimes when you pull them off, the glue ends stick out. So I try and get those off if I can, if I see them. I'm going to put one there and one there. And then I think 3 right here in this corner. Get my scissors out of here. Oh. I wish the computer would know that I'm recording so that it doesn't ask me if I want to update my virus software when I'm recording. But it doesn't always do that. There's another one of those little ends sticking out. You know, that is it. That is my card for today. Look at how that Poly-Glaze just shines and is so beautiful. And I don't really think you can see the color of the purple, but then look at how the stickles on that purple or rose look too. And I think if I do, I'll do another one and I'll do a little community post with that one. And I think I'll do a lighter flower on the inside with this brighter here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great new year and a great rest of your day.